Welcome to the program, Dr. Abdullah Abdullah. President Karzai won the elections, and you have withdrawn yourself from the competing of the elections. Behind your withdrawal, it's a big story. Will you tell us exactly what happened and what is the story behind your decision?
Mr. Karzai didn't win the elections. It went to the second round because neither him nor me had above 50%, which was required to have won in the first round. But then at the same time, when I decided not to participate, the Election Commission decided that he will be the president, which the basis of that decision was illegal. The reason for me not to participate in the second round, it was very obvious. I needed minimum requirement for the transparency and credibility of the elections, the electoral process. And in the first round, we know what happened. We didn't want the same thing to be repeated. And I had raised some conditions. And in one occasion, when I had the meeting with Mr. Karzai at that time, I reduced those conditions into one minimum one. So to replace the head of the Election Commission and appoint somebody of his own choice from the Commission itself. So to give the people a reason that this is one step forward in terms of the legitimacy and credibility of the process. When even that decision was not taken, then I decided not to participate.
But, Doctor, there was a debate, a presidential debate between your spokespersons and Karzai's spokespersons, in which they have exchanged the blames and the accusations. Why you have selected the decision to withdraw? Why didn't you fight back, since that the rigging of the elections was in both sides of the parties, whether your party or the President Karzai's party? Why have you selected to opt for a withdrawal decision?
I think the fact that fraud had taken place and there were allegations of different parties involved, I wanted thorough investigation, so whichever camp it belonged to. But next to that, we are talking about irregularities which has happened all over the country, but we were talking about state engineered fraud, which is state machinery was used, state authorities were involved in IEC, which was not independent election commission, and because of their malpractices as well as corruption, they were also in collaboration with the state machinery. Altogether, this was what caused the major fraud in the first round. The same thing would have happened next time without a change. I asked for changes in both sides, but it didn't happen. And then as a result of that, I had to decide not to participate.
لماذا الصمت إذن؟ أنت
The election commission, the Afghan election commission, has announced the winning of President Karzai of the elections, and all the international media, even the local media, is just posing a questions to Dr. Abdullah Abdullah, why you did not comment on the decisions of the elections commissions of Afghanistan.
I should come to your earlier question as well, that was there a big story behind my decision not to participate. The big story was that the same fraud would have taken place once again, and it would have repeated itself, and it would have led to further dismay and disappointment of the people from the democratic process. That's one issue. Post-announcement, I consider the process as completed, but at the same time, that institution, the Election Commission, doesn't have the legal mandate to announce a president without holding an election. So, yes, of course, since I didn't participate, they concluded that second round was not possible. Or they didn't go for the second round. They could have gone for the second round with one candidate, or they could have referred it to the Supreme Court. But they didn't have the mandate to appoint a president, because first round elections, it was inconclusive. And their mandate is to supervise, administer elections, and to make final announcement about the results. So which elections results they announced? So that's the part which I consider it illegal, and it's absolutely illegal.
How would you respond to this decision? I mean, everybody was expecting a protest of your supporters and some huge demos that would be witnessed by Afghan streets, but these things did not happen. What is your future strategy in dealing with the situations in Afghanistan right now?
Inshallah, I will continue to fight for the rule of law, for justice, most probably in form of opposition, and by using all legal and constitutional means and ways. The fact that I didn't call the people to go to the streets, it was because of the fragility of the situation. We are in a very difficult situation. The country, insurgency is going on, and lots of other problems. So I didn't want to risk for the people. But as far as I'm concerned, I will continue. I have no doubt in my mind that I'll continue to push for those ideas for change, and without it, Afghanistan will not have a future. So that decision is very clear with me.
In your opinion, there are so many reports saying that there was international and regional power has impacted the situations in Afghanistan and developments in Afghanistan, especially which is related to the elections, especially the visit of the Secretary General of UN, Ban Ki-moon, to Afghanistan, and the foreign ministers, American foreign minister Hillary Clinton, to Pakistan, who has impacted the maybe the decisions in Afghanistan. How do you respond to that, and how do you see that in your opinion?
I think both of us were candidates, and the elections took place, and then there was fraud, and I wanted for cleaning up the process, and I pushed for that. There wasn't anything as such to work it out between me and Mr. Karzai at that time, and the visit of Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, it took place for another reason, of course, because a few days before that, the United Nations had lost some of its staff during a terrorist act in a guest house, and some casualties, as well as 5 people died. So his visit was planned for that reason, not for mediation or anything as such.
In your opinion, you have termed this present government as illegal. How do you think that the President Karzai will make a change in his present government, as he was accused in his previous government of huge corruptions and lots of unnecessary and illegal things used to go on within his team? Do you believe that there will be a change in his government with new elections, or as an elected for the second time as a president for Afghanistan?
I will leave it for the judgment of the people, but it's the same administration which was not able to change the situation in the past 8 years for better, and especially in the past 4 years, 3 to 4 years, the situation has been deteriorating. So at that time, there wasn't the problem of legality or legitimacy, though since 22nd of May this year, the legitimacy has been under question, the legitimacy of Mr. Karzai rule. But before that, this wasn't the case. So to expect from the same government, the same leadership, which has not been able to deliver in the best circumstances, and a golden opportunity we missed under the same leadership, to expect them to do better in the coming 1 or 2 to 5 years remains to be seen.
Presently or in the future, if President Karzai offer you the olive branch in order to join hands with him to form a strong force in order to overcome the problems which Afghanistan is witnessing since the past 3 to 4 decades, will you accept the offer and that olive branch from Karzai?
هل ستقبل؟
We are not talking about hypothetical situation, but I can say that my effort in pursuit of change, based on the agenda which I have announced, which is not just changing the leadership, but it was also changing the system, the laws of the country, amendment of the constitution, and many other things which I have raised as an agenda. I'll continue my efforts.
How do you see the security situations in Afghanistan, especially when the Taliban has enhanced their operations against the international forces and American forces in Afghanistan? Do you think the American forces would be able, with the new present government of Hamid Karzai, form a common strategy in order to fight back the Taliban force and maybe bring them down to the table of negotiations? In general, how do you see the security situations developing in Afghanistan?
Part of this depends on the international strategy, but part of it depends on what the Afghans are doing. Will the government will be able, led by Mr. Karzai, will be able to gain legitimacy of support from the people and can deliver to the people and can bring Afghanistan together and make peace and prove itself to be worthy of support by the people of Afghanistan. That plays a big role in the success of any military strategy. So the issue of security or the whole as a whole, stability in Afghanistan, it depends on many factors, national, regional, and international.